Hi guys, happy Monday to you. I hope everybody's doing well. I don't know about you guys, but I think we could use a little growth to work on this week. I'm Sage from Growing Sage, and I'm here to talk to you today about the power and the importance of surrender. So surrender might be a new word for you. So we're going to go over a few basics, and then I'm going to give you 3 steps to success for surrendering. All right, so again, this is Sage. If there's anybody that you think is interested about surrendering and growing this week with us, go ahead and share this and get them in on watching. So let's start with talking about what is surrender. So let's just start with the definition of surrender. Cease resistance to an enemy or opponent and submit to their authority. So who is or what is the opponent or the enemy? Well, it could be something at our workplace. It could be a supervisor. It could be a boss of ours. It could be a relationship in our life, a significant other, a family member, a friend that's causing a tough situation in our life. And quite frankly, the opponent could be ourselves. And a lot of times, that's who the opponent is. And that's because we have this funny thing we like to do as human beings, and that is to basically get in our own way of getting to something better. And that's why surrender is so important. Now, if you're just joining us, I'm Sage from Growing Sage. I'm a growth coach and a support mentor. And I basically am going to teach you 3 awesome ways that you can get better at surrendering. So let's go into so exactly where does surrender come from? Well, it comes from fear. It's basically an extension of fear. And when we don't surrender, what happens? Well, we get in this feeling, because we're in that state of fear, where we're trying to stranglehold whatever it is in our life. Like we're trying to control some relationship or control something at work. And everything feels really tight and we're strangling it to death. And when you get in that position, you really try and be a perfectionist, and you tend to micromanage everything. You just want to I'm going to fix it, I'm going to fix it, I'm going to get everything fixed out. And it can be quite overwhelming. And I deal with a lot of health and wellness. I've been doing that for over 20 years. And let me tell you where that kind of fear or resistance to surrendering, what that can manifest into in your body. Well, it can obviously cause a lot of tension and anxiety, and it can cause things like added stress and headaches and tension up here in our traps and in our neck. For a lot of people, it manifests in digestion issues as well, and then low energy and fatigue. So nobody really wants any of that. Now, if you're just joining us, we're talking about surrender today, and maybe you have something in your life right now that you could really use some more input on how to surrender things instead of trying to strangle them or micromanage them. I certainly have 2 very big things in my life right now that are gonna be persistent opportunities for me to advance in surrender. So let's just go a little bit farther ahead with a little background about surrender, and let's talk about what you get in return if you surrender. So one of the biggest factors is you get peace. And I know there's not enough of that going around in the world and probably in a lot of your lives right now. So it's important to try and capture those peace moments as often as we can. Now, another thing that it provides us is it provides us this increased faith in the fact that we're not alone on this journey in life. And we're going to have times where we feel lonely, don't get me wrong. I mean, that comes up all the time for people, including myself. But we are not alone. There's all kinds of support that we have. And when you can increase your faith in taking the stranglehold off stuff and releasing it and sending good energy with it, that gives you this peace, and it helps you feel like, we're always being supported. And who really wants to live in that state where we're always trying to control something? Now, full disclosure, this is one of my biggest growth opportunities in my life, because historically I have been level 10 at a perfectionist disease, and I've been trying to unlearn that for the last several years. And it's a yucky place to live in, where you're just constantly trying to make everything perfect and make everybody happy and control everything and try and find a better way to do things all the time. And your brain just runs nonstop. And surrender is part of that, where first off, we realize nobody's perfect. Nothing is perfect. And and then it gets really scary, because we're like, oh gosh, if I'm not in control of everything, oh my gosh, what's going to happen? Ugh. But the truth of the matter is when you can find glimpses of these surrender moments, it's this amazing feeling, because you just finally get to breathe. And that rattling in your brain finally just simmers down. And you're like, oh, I don't have to be in control of everything, or try and manage everything, or do everything for everybody else on top of what I'm trying to do for myself. And then you kind of go, oh, that sounds nice. I think I'll try that. And then, of course, your fear is going to come back up, and it's going to test you. All those are just opportunities to get better at your growth of surrendering. So that is the power of surrendering. So we are talking about surrender, and we gave a little background on it. And now we're going to jump into 3 steps to success in surrendering. So the very first step is to really get centered. So if you're just joining me on Growing Sage, or on my posts, or on these lives, you are going to hear me talk about this getting centered thing, and it is a learned skill. So what you want to do is start finding a practice of things that help you to simmer down, healthy coping habits. So if that is meditating, going for a walk, getting a good workout in, taking an Epsom salt bath, whatever it may be, you have to be able to find that way to center down, quiet the noise, and just act from here, your heart. And then you can hear a lot of times what the universe is trying to tell you. When all that noise is going on, there's just too much. So you gotta really get centered. Now, when you get centered, you have to really get clear on your intention. So why are you so stressed out? What situation, what person, what thing at your job, what relationship, what is stressing you out so much that you feel like you have to control it all the time? And first, when you get centered, you have to think about, well, what is my intention? Where is this coming from? Is this coming from a place in my heart, or is it coming from a state of fear? So some reasons why people are afraid to surrender are often things that are yucky, like you're jealous, or your low self-esteem is bubbling up, or maybe you're just kind of feeling down, and the world's kind of chaotic, and that fear is just coming up real high. And maybe the situation or the experience isn't even the right one for you. You're just so fierce about trying to protect it just to win. And that's an ego type thing that you got to work on. So you got to get centered, and then you got to get to your true intention. And if you get to that true intention, and you get to that place that's based out of your heart and your center, then you can, know that what you're choosing is for good reasons. Okay? Good reasons from the heart, caring, compassionate reasons. Okay? And if you can get to that place of centered, that's your first step in mastering surrender. And the part B to that is you want to view this chaos that's coming up that's causing you to strangle things as an opportunity to learn the skill of surrender and getting yourself returning to a place of peace and joy. And that's a skill that takes practice. And if you can get to that place of that getting centered and getting your intentions clear, and getting to a place of gratitude for the experience, then that is a first big step. That's really important. Now, if you're, fighting to save your job or a relationship, those places are very scary, fearful places. And it's going to take a lot of work to get centered enough to realize if that's right for you or not. And I can't answer that for you. Your heart can. And the universe will help you. But you've got to do some work there. Now, if you can answer yes, that you've gotten to that place and you're centered and you have a good intention, then the next step is you got to do the work. So you can't just say, ooh, I'm going to go for this new job and it's a big deal, but I'm going to surrender. So I'm just going to go take a nap. Because that's not really how things work either. So your next step is you've got to sit down, you got to do some brainstorming, you got to come up with a series of steps of what is within your wheelhouse, your area of expertise, what you can handle for yourself, and what's a plan of attack that you can do to execute to put your positive energy out there instead of an energy of fear, which sucks energy away. And you want to make sure that you're putting that plan in attack so you can set the wheel in motion, because the universe responds really well to people who start taking the steps along with the universe to show that you really want it. But then you just have to be very clear on some boundaries. You don't want to get outside your wheelhouse and all of a sudden do a bunch of things that are just out of a panic fear state. And you certainly want to avoid stepping on a bunch of other people's toes to try and micromanage or manipulate, because now you're in that fear state again. So you just got to get calm and you got to think of some steps that you would like to do that you know could be positive to move the energy in the right place. Okay, so we got centered, we did the work, and now it's time to surrender. So what does surrender look like? Well, again, I'm going to use the word intention. So one thing that I use a lot is this statement, and you can fill it with whatever you want to fill it with, but it goes like this. May the universe bring this outcome that I desire, so you can replace anything in the outcome. May the universe bring this outcome that I desire, or something even better. So maybe you really, really intend on getting this brand new job, but maybe the universe knows that if you practice getting this new job and you don't get this one, the next one's going to be even better. So if you throw that out there, you're sending that good energy and you're keeping it away from fear. Then you've got to release. So what release means is that you have to say kind of in your head and in your heart, I surround, this thing that I want with excellent energy, really positive energy, gold light, and I send it off and I release it, and maybe take some really good breaths and then just say that I hope and pray that whatever the results are serve my highest good. Feels good to release. Then you're going to hear me say this word a lot, but the final step of surrender is gratitude. So you got to say that you're grateful for this opportunity of growth and to learn to better surrender. And you're grateful because you know that everything happens for a reason, and what is the best option that's going to serve your highest purpose is what will come. So we started off with a definition of surrender, and I'm just going to read it to you again. So cease resistance to an enemy or opponent and submit to their authority. So I think we should probably edit that definition. So how does this one sound? Release the need to control and micromanage, and instead reside in the mindset that everything happens for a reason, And the universe and God have a far better plan than I could ever imagine. And instead of fear and resistance, reside in the space where energy ebbs and flows, and we have gratitude for all life's opportunities and gifts. It's a practice. Surrender. It feels a lot better than micromanaging and trying to be perfect and trying to control everyone. And the energy you're putting out is the energy of peace. And don't you want to draw more of that back into your life? I hope so. And I wish that for you. I wish that peace. I'm so blessed to be here with you again. Again, I'm Sage from Growing Sage. I'm a growth coach. And I just really thought we could use some good growth stuff for this week.